What up YouTube, this PLEX. Just wanted to do a little tutorial for you guys. MRP from Flickr was asking me about if I could show him how I do like the shading and stuff on some of my characters. He saw this one, which a lot of people commented on, a lot of people dig it. My Tusk character, and yeah, I went in on extra detail for this one because I was doing a contest. So you know, he was asking about how I do like the shading and stuff. So I'm gonna show you guys how it all works. Basically, you can see it right here, but what you want to do when you're doing any shading on a character, whether it's detailed or not, you want to always keep this in mind, is you want to know where the light source is. So on this one, I have the light source coming in this way, or like this way, from the side. And so you can see everywhere on the edge where the light hits, you see a highlight, and then on the opposite side you're gonna see dark parts. And then you just kinda, you can see where I did like hash marks, and I kinda faded it, in with bigger to smaller hash marks. That's how I do it, but you could do it, I mean, I got that from like comic books and stuff, is how I've always wanted to draw comic books and all that stuff. So you learn it from that. So yeah, that's a little more detailed than people normally do in stickers. Here's another example, but it's like a lot simpler, and same concept. I almost always have my light source coming from this way or that way. It's just my easy way to do it. I'm used to doing it that way. But that's actually a very dramatic light source. That means like you're in a dark place, like at night, and you got like one light on you. There's different things where you can have like multiple light sources and all that stuff. But I'm just going to show you, this is how they show you in the books, but it's really simple. You get a circle, you want a light source, it's coming from here. On a page, sometimes I'll even draw like a little light just to remind myself. So that means all the shadows are going to come somewhere on this side, and then if you have a highlighter or something, or you can even just do it like that, that's like the reflection of the light, those little highlights. And then you can go into all kinds of different detail with it, if you want to get into it. And what you want to do is look at a lot of references and draw from references. So if we had here a light source coming from, I don't know, anywhere, here from here, light source, bam, and you're going to have the shade, the shadow on the opposite side. There's so many different ways you can do it. Don't just bite the way I do it and do those lines. You can do it like this and have like these kind of little markings. Like if your character has texture, you just use that texture where the shadow's supposed to come. So say that's like the scales on a lizard or something. You use these little round marks, and you want to show that on the shadow part. And then you can also do it with the highlights too, and it's hard to do it here with no color and stuff, but that would be like white right there. So there's that. Look at pictures. You could do it also with any other thing like a square. It really doesn't matter. And then sometimes there's multiple shadow type of situations. Like you could have a light coming from here that's really strong, and then a little light coming from here that's not as strong. And so you're going to want it's hard to, this is where it gets difficult, but you'll probably have really most of the shadow coming in here because there's no light source coming from there. So you kind of might like do something like this, and kind of maybe have it taper in this way, but it's easier to do it with color, so I guess I'll do that. I'll show you some color situations. See how I'm going to do this. Alright, so I got two markers, the dark and the lighter one. Go this way. Bam. Alright, so I got a little light coming in from here, and then a bigger light coming from over here. So most of the shadow is going to be kind of on this edge, but you still got this little light, so you want to kind of do this kind of like that shape, so you're still getting that darkness, but it kind of fades out a little bit right here because you got that little light highlighted there. It's hard to explain, but you know, that's kind of what two light sources would look like. Let me see. And when you're doing color, I mean, you can literally just like kind of cut it out like this. This is really messy, but actually I didn't even do that right. Right here, I'll color that in. It's really messy, but you'll see what I'm doing here. And then I'll go in with the darker, and this is where the deeper shadows are going to come. This isn't a really good color to use. I'll use a like a really thick, darker blue. There we go. So that's where the deep shadow is. Now, the big light source is coming from here. The little light source is coming from here. So you got a lot more light spots over in this area. So you can kind of taper it out. Like if you look, like I said, you have to draw from real life sometimes and learn some of that stuff. But if you look at real life, you know, images or whatever, it's never like a really blocked out line. It's always like fades out. So you have to kind of do that in your own way with like some cross-hatching techniques, or you can blend, and I don't think Sharpies blend that well, I don't know, but you could, yeah, you can kind of do it. See how it's a little bit darker here, and then it tapers out to the lighter parts, and then even leave like white in there, and then over here, you know, you can have a little bit more light. So hopefully that kind of all makes sense. There's a lot more techniques that I could show you with shading. One thing too, just this is more like how you use your markers and stuff. Like you can either, when you make a shadow, it's either going to be a darker shade of that color. So here's green, here's like a darker green. So that could be a shadow, this could be the regular. And then, or another way you can do it is, you got to look at a color wheel, or you should, like I already know it in my head, but you know, you go with the opposite color on the color wheel. So the opposite of green is red. And you can, and this is kind of not a good, like what you would do is like, alright, I'll do it a little better here. You don't want to put this much red in, but you might want to put like, and it's better with like paints and stuff too, like that much red, and then you know, you can use this to kind of blend it in. And obviously this isn't the best kind of marker to blend with, but and then you kind of fade it out. That's one way to do it. It's better with paints, obviously. But if you were to really do like a study on you know, color and stuff, you'll find that when you're painting and stuff, there are other colors than just the ones you would expect. Another real simple way is, say you don't have a lot of markers, and you still want to get shading, say you only have that one color. Most markers will do this, especially if they're more translucent, which means see-through, if you don't know. You know, you kind of let it dry, and it's, you know, it's a Sharpie, they dry quick, And then you can literally go over it with the same marker. And I do this a lot, and it gets a really cool effect. It's nice and clean. And I think I even did do that with this a little bit. I think I went in with brown with this one, but there's a lot of different ways you can do it. And then you can go in again, and it'll make it even darker a little bit sometimes, depending on what you use. Especially if you use like Prismacolors or illustration markers, Copics, you know, you can get even more of an effect of that. Here I'm kind of fading it out a little bit, so I'm putting a little bit of color in there, and then I don't know, you can kind of play with it. So you start to get that fade, and then even here you can kind of make it more of just lines than actual coloring it all the way in. And then, as I always do, and I do it too much, is I put highlights with a white marker. So yeah, that's it really. I mean, it's really simple. You know, don't try to do like multiple light sources until you get used to one light source, but once you do, you know, the way you figure it out is you go, and if you have any questions, let me know, ask me questions, but you go and you look at, you know, pictures and stuff, and you try to figure out how the light sources are working. Like, look at a photo, especially in a movie. They use a lot of dramatic light sources in the movies, so take a picture from a movie and try to imagine, where's the light coming from, what kind of light. Sometimes there's warmer lights, sometimes they're colder lights, you know, like there's a lot of things you can think about. And you don't get into that a lot on stickers. Sometimes people just color like a flat color and then they just draw on it or whatever. Some people just do black and white. That's fine, but you know, so I usually stick to a simple one light source hitting the edge. This one, I don't have any shadows, but I do have highlights on the top, on all the top edges. And then this one is the first time I really tried this technique, but you can have the light actually coming in from behind the character, and then the shadows all on the middle of the face. So if you wonder why people do that, that's why they do that. It's not because, oh, it's a new style or something. There's reasons why people do things. And don't copy people. Here's a really simple example. See, you get the highlights on one side, the light's coming from this way, and then I got a little bit of dark on the side edge of everything. There's lots of different ways you could do stuff. So you can do it from the top, from the bottom, anywhere. So yeah, that's it. I just wanted to do that little tutorial. Thanks for watching. I'm going to put a link for Aztec down in the description, also for MRP, like I said, I think that's his name, for his Flickr. But Aztec's been doing some cool like tutorials on different ways to make different parts for your characters, and making characters. And you know, #1 rule, don't bite. Come up with original stuff, you know. And that's about it. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.